We're live. Yeah.
Good evening to everyone. The regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors will now come to order. I'd ask that we stand and repeat the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have one change, sir.
Okay.
If the board agrees, I would like to remove item under County Administrator's Report, item H, the S Power Billing Permit Fee Request. Is that correct, Dr. Russell? We want to remove that?
Item,
We have,
H.
do you have a new agenda?
Uh-oh, this was in my packet.
No, it's one on.
Sorry, hold
No,
on.
that's fine. You
See, I
okay?
always make notes on my,
Well, I did too.
did you already strike that, Dr. Russell?
I did.
Okay,
it
hold
is
on.
item I.
I just had old one,
Okay, I had an old one too.
but
Item I, I'm sorry, sir.
no problem.
Strike that from the agenda,
Okay.
and that's all I have, sir.
Looks like you have any. This or addition?
No, sir, not.
Okay, if not, close on for motion. Deletion of,
Sorry, motion for approval with the deletion of item I under County Administrator's Report.
thank you, sir. Motion. Vote Dakota.
Aye.
Black.
Aye.
No votes all. Thank you.
See, I got a pen.
Next is the consent agenda. Is there any questions or comments, gentlemen, from the, for the consent agenda?
Sir.
Let's vote for motion.
Motion.
Motion for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion on Mr. Black's motion? Vote for Black.
Aye.
Dakota.
Aye.
Votes all, so thank you. Next, we have presentations, VDOT monthly report, it's VDOT online or Mr. Wynn, not online. COVID-19 update, Mr. Johnson, is he online?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
Okay. Oh. Uh-oh.
I just want to give you an update, give us an update.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yes,
can.
you can.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, audience. The monthly COVID cases for Virginia are 567,039. Hospitalizations 23,698, and deaths are 7,658. For Charles City, and these are updated as of today, Charles City, we have 392 confirmed cases, 32 hospitalizations, and 10 deaths. In the month of February, we've had 2 COVID clinics. And before I give any information on that, I just want to say thank you to all the volunteers and Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, and anybody else that volunteered for their help with the vaccines. You did a great job. We've gotten a lot of great reviews on it. On February 4th, we had our first vaccination clinic here. We did 504 vaccines. We did another clinic yesterday at the high school in the gymnasium. We did 450 vaccinations. Our next vaccination clinic will be March 4th, and that would only be for people who are getting their second vaccine. So if you took your test if you did your first vaccine on February 4th, you would come back next Thursday, March 4th, to get your second shot. Those who took their test on yesterday, February 22nd, you will come back on March 23rd to have your second shot. We're only doing those who are getting second shots only. We do not have a date as of yet for when we'll be giving first vaccinations again. I'm assuming that will be hopefully sometime in March for the first vaccinations again. So if you call my assistant, Miss Rachel Greenhow, at 804-652-4511, she can put you on the waiting list. And once we get a date, we will start scheduling people and she will give you a call. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do y'all have any comments or questions for Mr. Johnson?
I'm good, sir.
Okay.
No.
Thank you for that update, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the public comment period. I'd like to bend the rules this evening. If it's okay with my two colleagues, instead of the 3 to 5, we just go ask the individuals to put their comments in, maybe for 5 minutes, but as they put them in, we'll continue the agenda meeting itself. Come back.
That's fine.
Sir, appreciate it. Next on the agenda is appointments. Do you have any appointments you'd like to make this evening?
Not for me, sir.
I'm good, sir.
Okay. Administrator's report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Smith, Mr. Cota, Mr. Black, Mr. Boyd, members of our community who are present. Is Ms. Pemberton, can you bring Ms. Pemberton in to the show, please? We have the Charles City County Public School Superintendent, Dr. Chapter, with the request for carryover funds from last fiscal year, $193,507. For additional information. Ms. Pemberton?
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Russell. As Dr. Russell just mentioned, this request is being brought back in front of you this evening. It was originally introduced in the January meeting, and we had the decision was made to kind of table it for while additional details were gathered. And in your packet tonight, you have before you some additional details as of the source of the funds, the reason for the timing of the funds, and the proposed projects from the schools. So basically, in short, these funds were received. This amount was reverted over at the close of the year from the school's operating budget. It was essentially primary source was a final state distribution based on March 31st ADM enrollment numbers. And the schools received this amount at the very tail end of the fiscal year and did not have enough time to put the funds to use. So they're asking that they would have access to be able to do this now. And before you, you'll see details on the projects.
That's your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
To not go into too much detail, I wanted to open it up to any questions you might have at this time.
Okay, that's why when you had to finish, I will refer to my two colleagues, see if they had any questions or comments.
I have quite a few comments on this subject, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions for Ms. Pemberton.
Ms. Pemberton, you happen to know, I know it says school operating and school CIP that they were originally going to spend those funds on. Do you have any idea specifically as to what they were going to spend it on, the specifics of it?
I'm sorry, for what they're asking to spend it on, or what originally it was?
Originally.
Oh, okay.
I believe I can request further allocation. I'm not sure. I know that they have kind of a roadmap laid out at the beginning of the year for their budget as to what the state, what their state allocation with how they would spend it. I don't know specifically for this bucket, but we could definitely request additional details if that would be helpful.
But that's not necessary. I just thought you knew right offhand. Thank you.
Mr. Porter, you say you had some comments or questions or?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This has come before the board many times over the years, and we have always denied it. The precedent that we set then was not to roll over unused funds. And I was talking to Dr. Joppy when I came in the building today. Mr. Black, in order to answer possibly maybe some of your question, the state of Virginia, the Code of Virginia says that the amount appropriated by the governing body, which is us, for public schools shall relate to its total only or to such major classifications prescribed by the Board of Education pursuant to Code number 21.1-115. And I've got a copy of that for you. So we can only give them money for certain categories. And there's a copy of it for you. I don't know what the information is for, what they were going to use it for versus what they used it for. We've never asked for that information before. I don't even know if they could tell us, but we've never asked for it before. What I don't want to do is set a precedent here tonight by using funds, unused funds, and being able to carry over. Not a wise decision. Now, however, as I explained to Dr. Joppy, I am more than willing as a board to sit down and talk with them further about this. But using carryover funds that was not used, I do not think it is good to set the precedent. And I think many more people would follow suit if we were to do this. We're already asking for a $509,000 increase for general operating. That's what they proposed in their when we had our joint meeting. Of that, $250,000 for their CIP. And I don't want this to sound the way that I'm going to say, but it's like they're doubling down on their CIP to a degree, when in reality, they just entered into a contract for $4.9 million and literally technically signed our names to it because we are responsible for paying that back. They're not, we are, because they don't have, taxing authority or revenue raising ability. So we've got that going on. So there's a lot of components here. I, as one board member, cannot support a carryover from last year's funds, and I'll make it short and sweet. However, I am more than willing as one board member to sit down and talk with the school board this issue.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman, to counter that, I just think that the members that are elected in office as our school board, I feel that they have an opportunity to build and more so improve the infrastructure in our schools. And I understand that they have that in their CIP already.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but they have an opportunity to use unused funds, correct? Unused funds.
You're talking about with this here?
Yeah, with this here.
Keep in mind now.
From last year's budget.
But keep in mind but for their additional increase, they're asking us to come up with another $509,000.
Well,
and $250,000 for their CIP. And they just borrowed 4.9 to clear up a tremendous amount of the CIP items.
Okay.
So we're going to have to, if we approve their $509,000, we have to come up with that money.
I believe those elected officials, though, they have kids in that school system, and they see fit that they improve the carpet and also allow. I believe they want teachers to have a $81,000 bonus. Correct?
Actually, that's for all full-time employees, not just teachers.
Okay, and
So,
that'll be distributed through to them, correct?
To who?
To their full-time employees.
Every
appropriately.
full-time employee. And last year we did not give raises
That's
because
why-
of COVID.
That's why I see this as being appropriate, being that they had the challenge of teaching throughout COVID. You see what I'm saying? Why not give them a bonus because of that? We didn't give a raise last year, did we?
No, we did not.
So
What we did though was in insurance savings for those that are enrolled in our health insurance, we received a rebate back from our health insurance company because of the less amount of claims. So there was living better, healthy, whatever. And we did that for the people that were enrolled in that was the only increases, or not really increases, but stipends and all that we gave out last year.
Stipends we gave out to the
I
school
guess you can call it
board.
stipend. No, to our employees.
See, but this is
On the
for the
county.
school board though.
This is for full-time employees.
I mean, not for the school board. I'm sorry, for the school though, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah. So this goes to their teachers also.
Every full-time employee is who this goes to.
So I sit and I watch my daughter from time to time learn through virtual learning, right?
Mhm.
It's not an easy task.
I agree with you.
I feel like they should be rewarded for that. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, we got to have something that we build upon in our community. And I think our school systems is something that we should start with. And I understand we've invested a lot of money into our school systems, but we got to keep trying.
We have invested millions just in the CIP alone,
But
just in the last 4 years.
but I want to keep this in mind. It's not like you and I, or Mr. Smith, we're doing it personally out of our own pockets. This is taxpayers' money.
Yes,
You
sir.
see what I'm saying? And I bet they feel that their school systems, their school and the infrastructure there within should have better carpeting.
Well, you're going to have that opportunity in approving their CIP, what we do every year.
Well, let's
And
have. I feel like we should handle these unsettled funds right now. Let's take care of this, give them that, and when we get to that point, we'll decide how we go forward.
I respect your comments, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments, John. But when I saw this carryover situation and comments have been out for years and years. And when you heard comments from the general public, board of supervisors did not fund the school system or fully fund the school system. So when an individual has a carryover, what does that tell you? That they have excess money that they could have spent, but did not spend it.
So have we sought after a clear, definitive reason as to why they didn't? I know she said they didn't have time, but I'm pretty sure they would have spent those funds if they would have had. Was it time that prevented them from doing just that? You see what I'm saying? I don't.
Would have to answer that question.
Exactly.
But if I need something done in that school and I have X number of dollars, I'm gonna go, okay, we need to spend this money because we know probably what's gonna happen at the end of the year. So they have access to the funding.
Is that considering this being a COVID year?
What do you mean?
This year, the reason that this year has been like sort of an oddity, whereas they haven't had the opportunity to, I guess, figure out the actual structure as to how they're gonna spend different funds. They had COVID money to come in. There's a lot going on. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, we actually assisted them with Dr. Russell, $40,000 worth of CARES Act funding also.
But that wasn't for bonuses nor.
No. Just funding.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That wasn't specifically for bonuses or a concrete floor finishing to replace the aged carpet. I'm just saying, as my closing thing, when it comes to schools, I'm all for it because I have kids in the school system.
And I
would love to have the best for my kid. And that's all I strive for.
But how long has the conversation been going on with carpet in the school?
But that
didn't start yesterday.
Shouldn't that have been something that we had addressed in the last administration?
What's that now?
They have discussed this issue.
They have? They
With
have
carpet
funded
in the
for it?
school.
Oh, it's been they've been talking about this for 3 or 4 years.
They have funded for
Yes.
it also?
No. I don't know if we've ever supplied them funding specifically for the carpet.
Mhm.
I thought that it was in the energy contract thing along with the scoreboard and the track, but I don't think it was.
No.
So the carpet has been out there for many years. I really, Mr. Black, I want to make sure that I say this correctly.
Go ahead.
When you get an opportunity, go back and look at our CIP funding for the schools over the last, say, 5 years. And all that information is readily available. Because we've looked at it, Michelle's got it, and Dr. Russell, you could get it from Michelle, I know. And look at the CIP funding. We actually sent a letter, and this was before Dr. Joppy's tenure. We sent a letter from the Board of Supervisors, signed by the chairman, that said we disagreed with the $4.9 million energy contract that they entered into. That information was not shared with the school board. It was shared from me to the chairman and the Madam Vice Chair, in a meeting here with the previous administration. So the amount of money that has been spent in the CIP in the schools is tremendous. And if you get a chance, look at that and look at the funds that this board has pledged and given to the schools for their CIP. They're asking for, another $250,000 this year. And now, I don't want to say that they're trying to double down, but in reality, this is going to CIP items, which this in their original budget was not for CIP items. It's up to the school board, it's up to the superintendent to present a budget to us, just like it is for us to present it to the taxpayers. So these funds were not intended for CIP. And actually, a year or a year and a half ago, prior to Dr. Joppy, I want to make sure of that, they actually moved funds out of their CIP into operating. And I approved it. I voted for it. I didn't approve it. I voted for it, but with great disdain for removing money from your CIP for your operations. We have a responsibility to the taxpayers to present and live by a budget.
Understood.
They do too.
Understood.
And I, as one board member, again, as I was talking to Dr. Joppy when I walked into the building, I would be more than happy to sit down and talk with him more about their CIP in a whole. But this, I do not want to start. I don't want to start and set the precedent for this.
All right. Any other discussion? Not. We'll go for motion.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I motion to amend our budget, general fund balance, to allow funds in the amount of $293,517 to be reverted to the school budget.
Substitute motion, Mr. Chairman. I motion that we deny the request for the carryover from the schools in the amount of $293,517. Before we go any further, do you know how substitute motion works?
No.
Okay, that's why I want to stop.
Okay.
Anytime that a board member makes a motion, you can make a substitute motion. The substitute motion is voted on first. If it fails, then it reverts back to your motion.
Okay.
The original motion. If it passes, then the issue is dead.
Okay.
And I just want to do that because I know you're new to the board.
Yeah, that's fine. I appreciate that.
So Mr. Black made the motion, you made the substitute.
My substitute is, I motion for denial of the carryover of the 293,517.
So we vote on the substitute first.
We vote the substitute first,
And then.
and if it passes, then it will go on to the next item on the agenda. If it fails, then it reverts back to Mr. Black.
So your substitute was nay, right? I mean,
Yeah,
to say
denial.
no. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Okay, your vote, Mr. You vote for,
On my substitute motion, my vote is aye, to deny.
okay. All right,
Nay.
okay, my vote is aye, to not to give it to the school system. And I'm always willing to sit down and listen if they come back.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Dr. Russell?
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda, Mr. Smith, is Community Foundation grant funds. And Mrs. Pemberton is going to share with the board some updates with respect to the dollars.
Great. So as Dr. Russell just mentioned, this is largely an update. Back in October 2020, Dr. Russell shared news that the county had been awarded $12,000 in grant funding from the Greater Richmond Community Foundation. And the original project proposal was to support relocation of the local food pantry program to the Charles City School vocational building or to an alternate site. And since that time, the county received further guidance from the Community Foundation stipulating that the award dollars must instead be used for, to support direct service of food. So turns out the construction and relocation costs really wasn't the best fit project. So in order to remain eligible for the total award amount, Dr. Russell and partnered with Dr. Joppi and reshaped the original proposal to kind of redirect the county's use and kind of channel it instead to the school's existing backpack food program called Tiger Packs. The Tiger Packs program is a solution that directly addresses food insecurity, and it provides nutritious, non-perishable food to students. And in your packets, you will see, as you probably each already are very familiar, you'll see details of the Tiger Packs current program and kind of details of their distribution schedule and what's included and stuff. So just wanted to share that update with you this evening. It had, as I said, it had kind of changed course with receipt of the additional guidance, but is on a great path towards being used and really a true benefit to the community. So under the guidance of Dr. Russell and Dr. Joppi. So wanted to bring that before you this evening. And Dr. Russell informed me that these funds must be used, must be expensed by the end of March of this year. So we're coming to the end of the usage period for these. But so far it sounds like it's been smooth sailing now. As I'm sure Dr. Russell can provide more details on it if needed, but just wanted to share that with you all.
Need action on this? Do we need to take?
No, sir, no action is sent out
Good.
for your information.
Okay, this is information, then we all have questions, comments, like, okay.
Good use of the 12,000.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
At this time, I would like to go back to the first public comment period and see if we have any comments. Ms. Pine, you want to read those if you have any comments?
Yes, there are no comments on the YouTube. The only comment that we have is on Facebook, and it's from Laura Key. Her comment reads as such: we really need to do something about the persons who are dropping off garbage on Charles City Road in regards to garbage being on Charles City Road. It's getting out of hand. Thank you.
Okay, is that all?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Pine. Okay, back to Dr. Russell for the county administrator report.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda, Mr. Smith, is the authorization or acceptance of grant funds from the sessions. And Ms. Pemberton, you discuss that further as well.
Okay, Ms. Pemberton?
Yes, this is mainly a housekeeping item. Back in August of this past summer, the county received additional coronavirus relief funding the county. Actually, it was, excuse me, back up. The county's general registrar received an amount of $48,705 in coronavirus relief funding from through the Virginia Department of Elections for specific use of facilitating the 2020 presidential election. The terms of this relief program were that the allocation must be used specifically for COVID-19 related expenses, such as election mailings, equipment to handle the increase in changing voter preferences, and personnel for the live events. Staff is currently requesting that the board authorize and accept these funds and authorize the amendment of the adopted budget to reflect this supplemental revenue.
Yeah. What page you on?
41.
41.
Go here to,
Okay, I
yeah,
want
41 and 90.
I want 124.
So we all have any questions, comments?
And I know the registrar for her, she's under separate reporting requirements, timelines and stuff. So she was actually working today on finalizing the itemized expenditure list. And I know she'd be more than happy to share that with you, just if you want to take a look at exactly how those funds were used and just for record keeping purposes. If you would like any additional detail on that, we'd be more than happy to send it your way.
So y'all have a question or comments? Request?
I would just, Dr. Russell, are we taking action on this to accept the 48?
Yes, sir.
I would love to see a breakdown of how the registrar is expending, or is going to expend those funds, because I know that we incurred extra expenses that we use care funds for. Is this care funds, this is CARES funds also, correct?
Ms. Pemberton, now these
I think it is,
CARES
but-
funds, but they're separate from the
Yes,
funds.
it's a separate CARES funds. And to your question, Mr. Cota, I know the registrar, that was part of specifically what she was working with today, because I know a lot of originally, before this all kind of came to light, there were some things that were originally put on the county's CARES list. Specifically, I know there was some network security software, and with this, we've been kind of moving that over to this bucket. So we'll definitely, it sounds like it would be extremely helpful to provide you with a visual of the specifics for this, because to answer your question, you're exactly right. There have been some things that were originally put under the county projects that are more appropriate for this.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would just like to see a itemized on how this is going to fit, because I know that we have spent right much CARES fund act in the registrar's office due to COVID.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Okay.
I motion for approval of the 48,705. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have anything you wanted to ask?
No, I was just wondering if you wanted to see the itemization prior to approving the funds, and is there a time limit on
It
it?
is, I was mentioning that it is a time limit because it ties into COVID.
Okay,
And what's the date that we have to spend all the funds?
Good idea, man.
Yeah, the funds were to support the election, the fall elections.
Right.
And so that itemization is actually already done, and what hasn't been spent will actually have to return to the grantee. And that's the comment about the software, which should carry us well in excess of the $48,000. So, Ms. Pemberton, did you want
What
to add
software are we
anything?
talking about?
Security software.
Security software for the registrar's office?
Ms. Pemberton?
Yes, there was and we can provide additional detail on this too. That was kind of stemming from a House bill, a House bill that was pushed through the end of last year for, I believe it's 28. I don't want to misquote the House bill number, but it mandated that the localities put in place some sort of specific network security elements. We can provide. I'm speaking out of term because I don't want to speak on behalf of our IT or the registrar here, but I know there were very specific regulations passed that each locality had to implement effective immediately, I guess. And so we were under that requirement to kind of act quickly and put that into place. But again, a large amount of the expense that we originally thought was going to have to be paid out of the county's CARES allotment, we've now been able to peel out and put into this list, which you'll be able to see. We can send you that itemized breakdown to the registrar by the end of this week.
Can we just have a breakdown sent to the board, and let's have a general, to see how this is going to be expended before we expend it?
Before we expend it?
No, we can accept it tonight, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I would like to see how it's being expended and the expenditures already associated with CARES Act money. And,
Right.
and to know if some of this CARES money can be used and where we can recover CARES Act money that we've already spent to use it elsewhere within the county for COVID-related issues.
Right.
That's all I would be concerned about. I would love to see how we're going to spend it before we just go out and spend it. But we have it, we may be able to offer some reimbursement to ourselves and use that money better elsewhere. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does to me. Me too. Ms. Pemberton, are you
Yes,
clear?
that's
Thank you.
absolutely.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm going to include in my motion to accept this 48,705, but also requirement to give the board a detailed estimate on how the money is going to be expended. Fair?
Okay.
Is that good? Okay, that's my motion, sir.
Okay, any discussion on Ms. Cota's motion? Vote, Ms. Cota.
Aye.
Mr. Black?
Aye.
My vote aye. also, thank you.
Tax relief,
Yes,
Ms. Smith?
Ms. Smith, you on virtual? Ms. Smith?
Is that the tax relief we're looking at now?
She sent me a email and.
Ms. Smith, be sure to unmute your machine.
Okay, I'm here.
Thank you.
Okay. You asking for a tax relief or
It's
extension?
not, they messed
Yes,
up.
good evening, board members and everyone assembled. Due to, we've had some snow, bad weather, we've had power outages, I'm talking about the citizens. And we've also had 2 office closings. And I just thought it would be helpful to the seniors and disabled people if we had an additional week. It really wouldn't cost anything really. And I just believe it would be helpful. It has been done in the past. Several times our actual deadline, we ended up with a snowstorm. And one time it wasn't predicted, the other time it was. And several of the board members that are here, they agreed to do the extension due to the bad weather. And to give the citizens, we've expanded the ordinance this year, and this is to give the citizens an additional opportunity to apply. So I will be happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Gentlemen,
She wanting to extend it to.
I think it's March the 8th.
March the 8th, which is just 1 week.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't have any problem at all. Do you think that's enough, or do you want to go further, Ms. Smith?
I mean, that was my suggestion, is up to you all.
That's her suggestion. Let's, we address.
I'm
that,
good,
so-
sir.
March 8th is fine.
Okay. Y'all want to make a motion or a gentleman's agreement, or what do you want to do?
Mr. Chairman, I motion to approve the tax relief deadline extension to March 8th.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Black. Any discussion? Vote, Mr. Black.
Aye.
Fuller?
Ah,
My vote's aye also, thank you.
Thank you.
Aye as one.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
The next item is the Federal Emergency Management Agency flood study.
Okay,
All right.
okay. Our agenda is not in sync with our books, and the page numbers were omitted whenever you replaced our thing, so let us catch up.
Okay.
Where are we? What
page
page?
42.
42.
And your new agenda state.
Is it,
Just the page that was off there.
Yeah, the page numbers are not dated.
if I may, is it possible to put page numbers for each item on?
Well,
It's
they,
gonna
like-
be on that. It has to be.
A42 or?
They normally.
they had it
It's gonna be on
until
that.
they updated our
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, all right.
Are you okay, Mr. Coda? Okay.
Hey, Michelle's not, Ms. Johnson's not here, so I get to pick on you.
We heard you picking on. Okay,
Are we ready?
we ready?
Okay. Mr. Smith, Mr. Black, Mr. Cota, members of our community who are watching us online, I'm hoping that you saw the press release that was published in our local paper regarding the update to the Charles City County flood maps. Charles City County and a number of other communities in the Commonwealth had a flood study done primarily on in and around our waterways. Charles City County administration, right after Christmas, right after the holidays, sent individual notices to property owners potentially impacted by the flood study and changes to their designation in the flood information rate maps. So at this point in time, we are under a 90-day appeal period for the rate maps that are being proposed. That study or appeal period began on February 11th and will end around April 22nd. Parties who are interested in getting information about proposed changes to their flood designation can get that information by contacting the Charles City County Community Development Department. That information It's also available on the FEMA website for the firm maps. And in addition to having to adopt the proposed maps, we'll have to amend our flood ordinances so that Charles City can continue to participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. This is an information item only. Mr. Smith, Mr. Black, and Mr. Cota, there's no action that's required at this time.
Okay. Appreciate you giving us this update, Dr. Russell. Okay, next on the
Agenda?
agenda.
Yes, sir. Again, we had a board retreat in January, and at the retreat, Mr. Smith and Mr. Black, Mr. Cota discussed several initiatives for the upcoming fiscal year to include strategic plans for both economic development as well as strategic plans for our organization with a focus on organizational leadership. Those plans, well, not those plans, participants in your retreat included Mr. Nick Hines and Mrs. Elizabeth Povar, who are consultant partners who specialize in providing this level of support to small communities. And they have included proposed agreements for the scope of work that was discussed, totaling $80,000. It is staff's recommendation that the board consider one of two alternatives. The first being to consider both of these proposals for funding in the upcoming fiscal year as part of our ongoing budget discussions. You also want to consider, and staff strongly encourages that we jumpstart our strategic planning initiatives around economic development, because we are in a rebuilding phase with our whole economic development program and our economic development authority. And so if you're inclined to support that in this fiscal year, that proposal, I believe, is $45,000, maybe half of that, about half of that, to start that work before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. Y'all have any questions or comments on?
It's on you, go ahead.
Where are you gonna get the $45,000 from if we start this before the end of the fiscal year? Because that was not budgeted.
About half of that, so I'm gonna say about 25,000 of that, ED reserves,
Is what?
economic development reserves, ED reserves.
And that is a budget item, line item. Is that correct?
Is Ms. Pemberton still with us?
That's okay. We can answer that question later. I see that there's no action by the board needed. However, I do have some comments to make about this.
Okay.
And before you came on board with us, Dr. Russell,
Yes, sir.
and I guess I'm going to be sort of a little unfair because you weren't here then. We have two major economic development studies that we have already done and spent tens of thousands of dollars on that we have done nothing with. The last time we entered into an agreement with the EDA for them to help pay for it, and one of the statements I'll never forget them making was, we don't want to do another one and let it sit on the shelf and collect dust. And it has sat on the shelf and collected dust. I have said something for 9 years, and I'm going to say it until I'm off this board. Until this county bites the bullet and invest in infrastructure, we have nowhere to put economic development.
Can
You can, yeah, but
I
jump in.
interject?
Yes.
It's to piggyback off of your comment.
I ain't done yet, but go
I
ahead.
know, I'm gonna let you.
Go
let you
ahead.
go ahead. No, this is open for discussion.
Hey,
So,
6.
Tell Jimmy to mute.
Jimmy, please mute yourself.
make me mess.
Director Johnson, can you please mute your machine? Okay.
Okay. correct me if I'm wrong, but this, the $25,000 that she's mentioning right now for this strategic planning is to help us get jump started, correct?
It's 45. 25 is in reserve. We got to come up with the
Oh,
other.
okay, well, let's just say 45. And wouldn't this $45,000 support your idea of getting infrastructure on 106?
No.
That's not,
It's just a study right now.
it's just a study. Well,
It's-
I'm not in favor of supporting a $80,000 study. I thought from, what I got from it, I thought that this agency
45.
or these agencies would help us get to that point.
No.
Help us reimagine what we have and say, hey, this is how we start, and help us implement that along with our EDA. You understand what I'm saying?
And
Does that make sense?
it does.
That's what I thought it was.
We have yet to even rebuild our EDA.
Yeah.
And that is something that this board needs to do pretty quickly. So for me to come in and consider $80,000 more, and I don't even have an EDA to go to today, I do not want to waste any more money on studies for economic development until we as a board prepare this county for economic development. You cannot put a building in a barren field. It's not going to work. People have to go to the bathroom. They have to be able to drink water. And that's not having to do anything associated with any process. Now, we're getting ready to have an opportunity on 106, a small opportunity, but rather large for this county. And no, it's not a power plant. No, it's not a solar farm. All of y'all calm down. It's none of that. But we have water and sewer that we will be able to serve that with. But I don't think it takes an $80,000 study to tell us what we need to do there. I'll stop because I'm going to get on the soapbox.
Well, I would like to say that when we do get to that point, though, we have to consider having people to help us mold our plan when we get to that point.
Amen.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't want to continue down this path of us not with this right here, but when an opportunity does present itself for future development, that we're so reserved and conservative that we're afraid to expand. We have to expand at some point.
Amen.
We have to pay to play,
Amen.
and that's why I stand.
Yeah.
I like the way you think, sir.
So is this an action item, Ms.
No.
Russell?
No,
sir.
they're asking for us to consider having it in
Okay.
next year's budget.
No, I just want to know if it was an action item or just some information.
I, as one board member, would not suggest putting it in the fiscal budget, the 22-23 budget.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
As one board member, also have that same opinion.
Okay. All three of us have the same opinion.
All right.
So you have your gentleman's
Yes,
consensus.
sir. Thank you. very
Thank you.
much.
Yeah, Dr. Russell?
The next item on the agenda, Mr. Smith, is a proposal by Dominion Energy for an easement at our former high school site on Ruthville Road, and it's to place the utilities underground. This does
Page
require
48, you got that.
require board approval.
So this does require board approval.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, you heard the request?
Is there any discussion first? or-
Yes, sir.
Okay, is this to put our overhead services underground, strategic underground? Is that?
Strategic under, well, you said strategic underground.
Yeah, well,
Is
they
that-
got two different things where they say, regular underground and then strategic underground. And I guess this would be like a strategic underground, correct?
That wasn't the language. That
Okay.
was,
It says underground, implementation of underground utilities.
But it's for our Ruthfield Gymnasium,
For
correct?
the Ruthville property.
Right, well, it is for the Ruthville property, but it's underground in general in that area. And so that they're requesting an easement for the frontage that we have along Ruthville Road. Does that make sense?
When they're done with it, it's gonna look just like it does now, if not better.
No, I understand how,
Yeah, you
are
work for
they,
Dominion.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get the
Yeah.
real deal nitty gritty of it. Are they going overhead to underground?
Yes,
Are they converting our system overhead to underground?
yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay, all right.
I want to make sure,
Okay,
but also we got to consider, we need to be in talks with them to support our food pantry in that area also. So maybe even talking to them about setting up let's say a junction box for that right now while they're already there. Wouldn't that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, let them know what's coming in
Yeah,
there.
let them know what's coming down the pipeline, and well, let's not use pipeline, but
Yeah.
what's coming in the near future, so they can possibly set up that infrastructure now while we're already in there, and that's a very easy thing to do.
Okay.
But you still need to approve.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I just wanted to. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Not, hold on for motion.
Perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Motion for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion on Mr. Cole's motion? Vote, Mr. Cole,
Aye.
Mr. Black?
Aye.
No votes aye, thank you. Okay,
Mr. Smith.
Habitat for Humanity.
Yes, the next item is Habitat for Humanity. Mr. Smith, Mr. Black, Mr. Coda, we have been considering for some time a proposal by Habitat for Humanity for 2 additional lots on Wilcox Neck Road. And the question that we were asked to provide more information to the board for was the what is an appropriate sales price for those lots. Staff's recommendation is that rather than the $10,000, that the lots be sold for their current market value, and that value is $21,300
Okay.
That would be for each one.
for each one.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
per lot.
Okay.
Having said that, Mr. Smith, at this juncture, Habitat has suggested that they need more time to consider the additional cost. Staff's recommendation to the board is that you set the price, and if they are willing to move forward, authorize a public hearing at a future date.
Okay, so what we need to do tonight is consider staff's request and take action on that.
Yes,
And
sir.
then if they agree with what the motion, well, regardless of the price, they would know how we stand on the issue.
Yes, sir.
The public, excuse me if I may, Mr. Chairman, the public hearing would be for the public to offer comment about us selling the property?
You would need to have a public hearing before you sold the property, but you'd have to have a contract so that the public would be able to determine.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because when I heard public comment, I want to make sure we weren't getting ahead of ourselves. Good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyd. So we need action that we're going to agree or disagree with staff's recommendation to sell them at 21.3 per lot.
Disagree?
No, I said,
Oh,
no. I said we need to either agree as a board or disagree with staff's recommendation to sell them at 21.3.
Yes, sir.
That's the action we need to take.
Yes, sir.
yes.
Okay.
No other discussion, the motion, gentlemen?
I motion, Mr. Chairman, that we sell the lots at fair market value of 21.3 per lot and relay that information over to Habitat for Humanity for their consideration.
Okay, any discussion on the school motion? Vote, Mr. Fuller,
Aye.
Mr. Black,
Aye.
I vote aye also, thank you.
You saying that awful loud over there.
Gotta,
Make sure I can hear you, know.
She said I need to project my voice. I need to sound like a man when I say aye.
Oh, yeah, man.
To really show y'all what
Excuse me.
around here. I ain't gonna let y'all get away with nothing.
Okay, next on the agenda.
Next item on the agenda, Mr. Smith, is our broadband updates. And so we have update reports from both Comcast and SCS. Let's start with SCS, and SCS is reporting that to date, they have installed 10.
Ask your question, Dr. Love.
Yes.
Do we need to, I know, I got you, go ahead, I got you.
We're good.
It's removed off the agenda, that's why I thought you skipped something. Go ahead, I apologize.
SCS has installed 10 customers, and they have
Okay.
15 pending requests for installation.
Good.
So that would result in a total of 25 installs. We will do a survey of the additional tower site on Wilcox Neck Road on Monday with Design 9 and RCS for the construction of that third tower, which would expand their potential offerings in Charles City County. Comcast is perhaps our best news. And so their 212 report indicates that they have completed their fiber install, 140 miles of fiber installation. And on January 26th, they began service subscription offerings in Charles City County. We are receiving calls, I would say a number of calls a week regarding whether or not specific properties will have access to Comcast fiber. And we just forward that information onto our Comcast contact to confer with the constituents directly.
Okay.
Right?
Mr. Chairman, may I please?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Russell, I had spoken to you a week or so ago about, or maybe not that, about looking and pulling up the performance contract that SCS executed with Charles City County.
Yes, sir.
How are they performing in correlation to that performance contract? That's what I would really be interested in knowing.
My only concern with respect to the performance contract when I spoke with them was that they had not sent the monthly reports. So they're supposed to send reports monthly, and they had not done that. And so this was our first report. Other than that, they were fine. And I have my computer up, and I'm going to go through with you the specific benchmarks that they have to meet, if that's okay.
When it comes to internet, Dr. Russell, I want to hear everything.
Okay, here it is. So the company agrees and undertakes to perform the services in a timely fashion with all due skill, competence, and guidance. And there are 4 benchmarks. Within 30 days, SCS shall report to Charles City County the number of potential customers within the SCS service area.
Can I stop you, please?
Yes.
Sir, ma'am. And I might stop you a couple of times to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
What is the date of that contract?
It's a clip. Let me see. I have the signature at the bottom. I can get that for you, Mr. Cota. It's not.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but if you will just verify with the board the date of that contract, please.
Yes.
And by the first commitment, have they lived up to that?
Within 30 days, SCS should report to Charles City County the number of potential customers within the SCS service area. They gave us their service area boundaries.
Did they give you the number of potential customers?
No, they did not.
They did not.
They did not.
So they're in violation of that one.
Yes.
Okay, next.
Before you go on, even with that violation, and if there are further violations, how do we hold them accountable going forward?
Well, it's a performance agreement, and the performance agreement includes, it's incentivized. So for the first 6 months, they don't pay rent for the tower leases, and so we can exact penalties.
Okay.
So for failure to
Penalties.
perform.
Okay.
Okay.
Are those penalties defined?
We can, if we choose to. We don't have another wireless service provider, but terminate our agreement with SCS.
I'm not attempting to establish grounds for termination with SCS at all. This has been a long, long road. However, I am attempting to maybe point out to them that they signed a performance contract with this county, and we expect them to live up to it. That's it, in a nutshell. And that's why I asked you to have this contract with us tonight, so that we could review it. I understand COVID and all, and I'm interested in the date, even though I'm pretty sure I know what the date is. I just want them to perform this time and provide our customers with alternatives. That there's a lot of customers that are not able to get Comcast in the first phase of the rollout. This is an option, and I want to make sure that we're fulfilling possible option that we can for our constituents. Continue on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Within 60 days, SCS must verify to Charles City County that at least 50% of those customers have been offered service.
Did they do that?
They did begin offering services.
No. Did they verify with the county within 60 days? The answer is no, because they didn't even give you the first list. So how can they verify with you that they've contacted 50% of them, correct? Read it again.
They didn't send a reporting.
Read it again.
Within 60 days, SCS must verify to Charles City County that at least 50% of those customers have been offered service.
Okay.
No, let me.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the feedback that we've received, although it was not in a formal report, is that SCS had a database of customers, potential customers from their historical records with the county, and they offered service subscriptions to customers in that database.
I'll take that one. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll accept that one.
Well, the first one was 30 days, correct?
Within 30 days, SCS
Yeah.
shall report the number of potential customers.
But you said the 60-day window was for,
At least 50% of those customers have been offered service.
okay, so, all right, just making sure we got the right terminology, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to understand.
Okay.
Okay.
SCS shall make reasonable efforts to extend service to any business or resident in the county that request it. When possible, SCS will work with the county to find a solution to expand coverage to the requested area.
Is that it?
Just one more.
Okay.
For the first 6 months, SCS is required to submit by the 15th of each month a report of the number of customers and service subscriptions. Specific customer lists, tiers, et cetera, are not expected in this report.
Have they done that?
That's the one that I said they didn't.
They, so the answer is no.
They didn't do it.
Did they do it for the
15th.
first 6 months from the, and you're in the 6 months from the date of that contract?
This is the first report, formal report that I have received.
I'll take that one. But I really want to stress, sir, if it's good with my colleagues, the importance of SCS actually performing and getting out and beating the bushes. I actually ran into one of their gentlemen in a van doing signal testing, and I stopped and talked to him, and he explained that they were doing signal testing all over the county. And there are going to be pockets that do not get served, just like Comcast. But I do believe there are going to be a lot of pockets that Comcast does not serve that SCS could possibly serve. And that's why I'm so adamant about this. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any questions or comments, Mr. Black?
Dr. Russell, I'd just like to know from our conversation, have you received any feedback from SES regarding the other tower in District 3 on Row 5?
Yes.
Okay.
That they would add that information to their inventory.
Uh-huh.
They asked me for specific information for longitude, latitude, and I sent that to them.
Okay.
For triangulating their network.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. Is there anything else on that one? Dr. Russell?
That is
Okay, next on the county administrator's report, Dr. Russell.
upcoming events.
Okay, upcoming events.
So we have several days scheduled for the second dosage of vaccines, as Fire Chief Johnson indicated. A new date for another set of vaccinations has not been yet set for the first dose. That's
You
it.
said the first dose?
So the next couple of dates are for second. It's for constituents.
In March.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there are no new dates set for persons like me that need the first dose. Okay.
Is Jimmy Johnson still on?
Okay.
That's
Text
all.
him,
County
ask him
manager.
that I've got a question for him under our directives, just to make sure he's available. Thank you.
Okay. Is that all for?
Is that all for upcoming events?
Yes.
Can we, Mr. Chairman, I'd like for her to do them every month because Ms. Johnson takes 20 or 30 minutes to do them upcoming events. And I know Ms. Johnson is watching, that's why I said that.
On there, and I'm trying everybody who can be. Next, we will have the public comment period. Like I said, we will refrain from the 3 to 5 minutes, and we ask the citizens to just type it in, and we will continue with our meeting. And maybe in 5 minutes, we'll go back and see if we have any comments on that. Okay. Next is vote. Director comments. I have 1 or 2. I mean, you had.
Oh, he's a whole page over here. No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
I really only have 2, I think.
No, you will get more. No, I would just like to take this time to thank the Chickahominy Health District and all everyone that volunteered for the COVID-19 vaccinations. I did receive mine about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm eligible to go back next month to get the second one. But I was really impressed with the just regular citizens out there trying to help, trying to clipboard, filling out the application, trying to help people into the building that needed help. So it was really great, and I received a whole lot of great comments, positive comments, how well it was set up out there, and people received the service. So I think it was really great. But I was really impressed just the regular citizens of the county out there trying to help. You could consider them first line. They was out there. And, it was really great. So, and also I would like to comment on the trash situation of Charles City Road. We keep saying we need to get some kind of service to pick up the trash, or people to pick up trash. But individual sent me a picture today.
Mhm.
It was about 6 or 7 bags of trash bagged up that someone threw on the side of Charles City Road. So Thurl said they will call the sheriff and see if the sheriff will go through that and see if they can find any kind of identification. And I'm hoping they will find identification. They can go back at that individual. They when I left home this evening, coming down here, but 3/4 mile from my house, somewhere threw out 15 tires right in the ditch. So, I mean, if we don't take pride in our own county, who would take pride of trying to keep it clean? I mean, we have to do our part.
Amen.
I put mine in the automobile till I get home. I clean it out there. So but that's the way I do with mine. Also, I've heard comments of the emergency, I think you call it the emergency trailer.
Emergency what?
The emergency trailer that the county have.
Yes.
Is Mr. Johnson still there? I know the history behind it, and I'm sure my 2 colleagues know, but maybe some of the citizens don't know how we received it. But Mr. Johnson, could you comment on that? Because the citizens some of the citizens continue to ask questions. How much money did Charles City County taxpayers put toward that emergency trailer? So could you make some comments on that, please? Set the record straight.
Okay, I'll be glad to. I'll give a quick brief history of this trailer. When COVID-19 first started, we met with the incident management team and myself, Major Coma, and Miss Johnson, and along with Miss Elizabeth Hope, we talked about having some type of command post that we could use during COVID in case things got to the point where we couldn't come into the buildings and we still needed to be out in the communities for any type of incidents. So we got together and Major Coma was spearheaded the building of this trailer. It was a custom built trailer, 30 feet long, and it's called the Emergency Management Incident Trailer. We use this trailer for big events if we have multi-jurisdictional events that may involve fire department, sheriff department, state agencies, any big events that we may need multiple agencies working at one particular scene. This trailer was purchased with COVID money. As of now, we have yet to spend a Charles City County tax dollar on this trailer as of yet. And everything that we're proposing to put inside of the trailer, because it's not complete yet, will be spent with we'd be spent with grant money. So Charles City did not spend any taxpayer money on this trailer.
Okay, thank you for that update, Mr. Johnson, I appreciate that very much. I think that's all I have, gentlemen. You want to go next?
Yeah, I'd like to go and give a few comments. This is more so VDOT. I haven't had the opportunity to reach out to them just yet, but I know, speaking of trash along our roadways and our ditches, Dr. Russell, if it's possible that you relay this message to them. Route 615, which is the glebe, has branches along the ditchway, and it poses a threat to citizens transiting down the road. And there's also trash along Sturgeon Point Road, which is Route 614, and also tree branches along the ditchway also. And they pose as a threat to our citizens. And I was wondering if they could sort of get to that, or take care of that for us. And we can also do our part in our community also. And if we see trash, don't put yourself in a dangerous situation where you're gonna get hit by a vehicle. But if you have access in front of your yard or your driveway, just pick up the trash. That's what I got to say about that. And also, this is for the board members here. We have an RV park coming, correct? It's going to be an influx of traffic up and down the roadways. What are we doing to mitigate that? We have to formulate a plan for that. The influx of traffic along the glebe and near the Blue Heron, we have to come up with a plan. That's what my eyes are set on. Because the road isn't going to fix itself. It's just going to get worse, along with the traffic, the commercial vehicles that's on it right now. So we got to sort of look at that and figure out what makes a main highway a highway, because that's sort of becoming that. That's all my comments. And citizens in District 3, we're still thinking about you when it comes to internet. We're trying hard to push for that. That's our focus. That's all I have.
We have discussed this road for years and years, and we've been to VDOT to see what they could really do to widen that road. But as usual, whenever you go to VDOT, they will say, well, we don't have money to widen the road, and I don't know what else to do. But one thing that I was kind of glad that it did happen the way it happened is the RV park. I think you're still gonna have traffic, but the way it's set up, you're not gonna have as much there, because the RV park, you're going in there and gonna stay a certain length of time. It's not gonna be like on a Friday or Saturday evening, you're gonna have RVs, and that's a good thing. But to me, it's not in the best place. But where else can we put it? But you have my sympathy, and I just hope things will work out.
Well, there's things that we also consider, like revenue sharing, that we need to look into also with VDOT. And I know, it's costly, but we have to spend our funds someplace. We can't just hold it in a vault and say, hey, we're going to be conservative. We have to use it for the citizens, and roadways are one of the main things,
I don't know how much we get in revenue sharing, but I know our 6-year plan,
With CBTA dollars.
we don't get anything. Maybe the staff can check into it and see if any funding out there for it. But 6-year plan, you forget that the little bit we get, we can't do anything with it, hardly.
Mr. Black, in order to piggyback on your statements, I really do think that this board should really ask for a meeting with VDOT and and I love Marshall Wynn to death. He's Johnny on the spot every time I call with something, and I mean, he really does look out for us. But I can't for the life of me figure out why in the world VDOT does some of the stuff that they do in this county. And I'll tell you one that's happening right now in District 2. For the 4th time, they have sent survey crews down to the hill that is the S curve. And there used to be a name for that hill, Mr. Smith. You may know.
The only thing I know is the S curve.
Okay,
Yeah.
the S curve.
Yeah.
It's the best part of Atkins Road, all the way from 60 to Atkins Store, is right through that S curve. Well, they're going to tear it up. 4 times they sent crews down there to survey that. The third batch, I stopped and asked them, I said, why are y'all surveying again? And they said, what do you mean again? I said, it's the 3rd time y'all been out here. They said, no, we're brand new. We were just contracted to do it. We see all the markers and all. And now they've got signs down there that they're getting ready to start road construction there in that S curve, March 1. I don't see what the S curve needs, to tell you the truth. My personal opinion. Somebody that lives down there may differ with me, but that's funds right there that, in my opinion, could be used much better on Wilcox Neck Road.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be increased traffic down there. I agree with you 100%.
Increased traffic and speed.
There is. However, this revenue sharing thing came up today on the phone, and my knee-jerk reaction, and I'll always say that, is absolutely not. Because once we start, we'll always be doing it. And VDOT, with the amount of taxes that we pay per gallon of gas that goes toward roadways and all, VDOT has money. This state has money. Look at the governor's report on the surplus. You know, I think more the question is, where are we spending this money?
So do you suggest we approach the governor when it comes to this, to allocate funds to our roadways? Is that something that you all are suggesting?
Not only him,
Anybody.
Any entity. I'm just saying above us.
Delegate McQuinn, Senator McClellan.
Well, let's do it.
Congressman McEachin.
Well, let's do it.
I'm behind you 100%.
All right.
Take the lead.
No. Let's do it together.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine. But that's what, why are we going to fix a section of road that, in my opinion, does not need to be fixed, and ignore a section of road like you just brought out that needs to be fixed? So anyway, I would hate to think about revenue sharing. I really, truly would. But that's a knee-jerk reaction. That's not a final reaction. Are you done?
Oh, one last thing.
No, only don't do it. I don't want to start before you get finished.
Oh, just a ditch repair or cleaning schedule. Did you receive one?
No, and we've asked. I'm not sure what else to do. The question about a joint meeting sounds.
But are these meetings going to be productive? Whereas we get things done and accomplished and have a better relationship. We learned some things our last meeting that I had with you, and
I thought that was a very effective meeting.
Yeah.
And so your question is that
with another, or with all 3 of us, and including yourself and Ms. Johnson, would that be more helpful?
I think we should try.
Okay.
Yes.
That's all I had.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay with the board, before I forget it, I would like to take a moment of silence in honor of Kathy Sullivan, Kevin Sullivan's wife, who is the chairman of our electoral board, passed away suddenly last week, I think it was.
His wife?
His wife, she suffered from what I understand, a major stroke in her home, and she never regained consciousness, and she passed a day or 2 later. So if it's okay with the board, I'd like to take a moment in silence in remembrance of her, please, sir.
You have it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
Can we send a something card or some type of
You already have.
or something?
Yeah.
You always ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that.
two items I have, sir. We were supposed to do something at our January the 26th meeting that we failed to do, and that was to vote on the fire engine that we had gentleman's consensus on at our January the 11th budget hearing. Director Johnson, are you still on?
Yes, sir.
What, the price for that engine was
17,517.
And we discussed that we were going to pay cash for that, sir, versus go into a delayed 2-year payment plan. So I would like to make the motion that we purchase the fire engine that was presented during our budget meeting in the amount of $517,000. That's my motion, sir.
Any discussion on the source motion? Mr. Stoller,
Aye.
Mr. Black,
Ah,
I vote aye also.
That's the engine, not the tanker. Yeah.
Okay.
that
Yeah.
wasn't the tank.
We have something
Right,
else?
no, that's not tanker, okay.
We have something else?
I do have one other thing. Dr. Russell, I think you and I discussed on the phone today, and if I'm incorrect, please interrupt. But we did not finish the recess policy, because in the minutes of our January the 26th meeting, it clearly says that we talked about it and about what I wanted and all. And Mr. Boyd asked if they wanted new policy altogether and all. Just go back and review the minutes.
Okay.
And it said, Mr. Black actually said that we should fine tune it before voting. And I motioned to postpone the decision until the next meeting, which would be tonight. And I think you thought that we had already executed that. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Hey, I was wrong on the RTVA thing. That's why I said interrupt me if I'm wrong. So if we can, just make sure we get that on the next board meeting, please,
Yes.
if that's okay with my colleagues. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have. I don't know, do we need an executive sessions
Yes,
for?
investment of public funds and
Personnel.
personnel.
Is that it? Just okay.
Yes, is that it? You have anything?
That's it.
Okay, that's it. Your motion?
And I so moved this.
No.
Oh,
No. See, I'm putting you to the test.
Mr.
Hey, that's why we always write it down.
You wrote it down?
Investment of public funds and personnel.
That ain't hard.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna need it though when you come back.
Gentlemen, I have to get the last public comment period. Did we actually put it in, or we need?
Oh, yeah,
Public
yeah.
comment period. That's fine. Did I announce that, or?
It's at the end. You put it at the end, sir.
Okay.
Right.
Did anyone respond?
Yes, I have several comments.
Okay.
They are on Facebook. So Nancy Drew Harris, her comment reads as such: broadband. Please make sure the internet providers are not taking advantage of our citizens. The salespersons are offering different prices to different people for the same services. Salespersons work on commission. My suggestion is for the providers to publicize their prices for the various services.
Amen.
Yeah, I agree, but I thought they had a price chart or.
Breakdown.
They did
Breakdown.
publicize. They did publicize.
So,
However, my personal experience, if you strictly go by the placard that they put on your door,
Mhm.
that is the package. But once you have any deviation from
from
that,
that package,
then it starts getting into different pricing. But I don't think that's, I think that they should publish them again.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we can request that.
You sure can.
I agree, but if someone don't come in and say, well, I think I've been price gouged, how would we know?
That's true.
And they need, whatever brochure or the price they put out there, it should be across the board. No deviation from that.
I just got one comment. Isn't it their job, not to defend Comcast,
Mhm.
but isn't it their job to sell, packages to people? Isn't that their thing? So some people fall to that and they don't ask the other questions that need to be asked sometimes. And we need to make sure that people are knowledgeable of what they're agreeing to and those types of packages that are suitable for their budget.
Keep in mind also, if I may, sir, Mr. Chairman, these salesmen are commission-based.
Exactly.
And if you call, but this is actually reversed on someone actually called into Comcast and agreed to a package that they could have gotten cheaper from the salesperson. So check both sides of it.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
a second quote from the same company doesn't hurt in this situation.
Agree. So maybe, maybe your message to the citizens, get two quotes to be on the safe side and see if they compare.
But if you
That's a good
sign on,
idea.
once you sign on with one, you can't revert back to the other.
Exactly. I mean, you can quote me a price, and I'm saying, well, I'm gonna make another call, not on to them, and see if you can get another quote, second quote, just see if you compare. Okay.
The next comment is from a Carol Moy. It reads as such: why are the board members not better prepared for these meetings?
What?
Why are the board members not better prepared for these meetings? It's almost as if there is no communication between anyone during the month. Like CODA not knowing anything about the contract requirements regarding the SCS internet. Regarding internet in this county, every board member should be all over this issue. Our elected board members should be better informed before conducting these monthly county meetings. These meetings should be informing the citizens, not the board members informing each other. I understand the new board member, he has a learning curve, and from what I have heard tonight, he is on point.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, Cynthia Robinson, she says that Lewis Tyler Road really needs the trash removed. Cecilia Wynn Bradby, is VDOT going to clean our ditches? And Cynthia Robinson again, can you all redo the work on lot carry? It's dangerous because it's uneven work. That's it.
Okay, is anyone else, any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for their comments that they made. Well, they closed the public comment period, so we need a executive session, investment, and
Personnel. Mr. Chairman, I motion we move to executive session to discuss personnel and investment of public funds.
Okay, discussion on this like motion. Your vote, Black?
Aye.
Mr. Carter?
Aye.
I vote aye. I'd like to thank everyone for participating this evening, and we're going into executive session. Thank you.
Thank you.